Just finished watching the Dillian Whyte Lucas Browne press conference. It was pretty lively, as you would expect. It didn't boil over into any type of physical confrontation like the Dillian Whyte Derek Chisora press conference did, but I think that's largely down to the fact that the Sky team and Matchroom team were prepared for that because they know they've got a very volatile character in Dillian Whyte who's been involved in a lot of volatile press conferences beforehand, and they know they've got a rough and tumble guy in Lucas Browne who is certainly not going to back down from Dillian Whyte or anything like that. So yeah, there was the ingredients there for problems, physical problems, but none of that took place. What we did have was a pretty entertaining verbal exchange between Dillian Whyte and Lucas Browne. Dillian Whyte is a guy who could start a riot in a room by himself. I think Spencer Fearon actually recently described Dillian Whyte as a rough and tumble character. I would say Dillian Whyte at times comes across as just a hostile character. Certainly when he's talking to fighters. When he's maybe talking to the public or whatever, I don't know, maybe he's different on social media, I'm not sure. But when he's talking to other fighters, he's very hostile. He's kind of like Tony Bellew. When he's talking to his rivals, he just gets right down to business. He's very hostile. He don't even try and be a nice guy towards most of his opponents. And Whyte said the things that you expected him to say. He brought up Lucas Browne's failed drug test, but Lucas Browne retorted by mentioning Dillian Whyte's failed drug tests in the past. Dillian Whyte brought up the whole orangutan picture that Lucas Browne posted a few months ago and used that against him. Lucas Browne didn't like that. He tried to explain it away, but Dillian Whyte said, this guy's a nasty piece of work and I'm going to knock him out. Now, I feel that Dillian Whyte should avoid exchanging with Lucas Browne in this fight. There may be times when he has to exchange to get Lucas Browne's respect. And actually, Dillian Whyte at close range is better on the inside than Lucas Browne. He's better at shortening his punches. He's got a better technique up close. But Lucas Browne, I think, is going to be most dangerous at mid-range. Not at long range. I think that's where Whyte will be a little cuter at mid-range, but at long range. But at mid-range, I think that's where Lucas Browne is going to be most dangerous with that big clubbing, swinging right hand. And a lot of people are going to ridicule me for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think punch for punch, just in terms of one punch power, Lucas Browne might actually hit harder than anyone Dillian Whyte's been in the ring with before, including Anthony Joshua and Robert Helenius. Dillian Whyte don't seem to think so. He seems to think that Lucas Browne don't hit nowhere near as hard as Anthony Joshua or Robert Helenius. I think it could be a mistake thinking in that particular way. He says he's going for the knockout. He's going to stop Lucas Browne. He's taken some of the things Browne has done and said over the past few years personally. His trainer, Mark Tibbs, said that he wants Dillian Whyte to box a clever fight, but that he also will try and get Dillian Whyte to knock Lucas Browne out. I was watching the Toe to Toe podcast recently, the one that came out yesterday with David Price and Spencer Fearon. And David Price, who has sparred Dillian Whyte in the past, predicted, and he seemed quite confident in this prediction, he predicted that this fight will not live up to its expectations in terms of its level of excitement. And he fairly confidently predicted that Dillian Whyte will win this fight on points. And for those of you who have seen my previous videos on this fight, you'll know that that's my prediction too. I share the same prediction as David Price. I'm taking Dillian Whyte to win it on points. I think Dillian Whyte is a more versatile boxer. I think he's got more tools in his toolkit. I think he's been more active. Well, I know he's been more active than Lucas Browne. I think he's fought the better opposition throughout his career than Lucas Browne has fought. He's younger. I think he's more fight fit than Lucas Browne is. Lucas Browne's coming off a period of inactivity. He's 38, nearly 39 years old. We don't know what kind of shape he's in. When I put all those ingredients into the pot and stir it up, what I envision is a Dillian Whyte points victory. But I wouldn't be shocked if Lucas Browne was able to beat him. And I think the most likely scenario would be if Lucas Browne wins, it will be by knockout. And if Dillian Whyte wins, it will be on points. I'm not saying Lucas Browne can't win on points. I'm not saying Dillian Whyte can't win by knockout. I'm just saying that's what I see as the most likely scenarios if either guy were to win, would be Whyte on points or Browne by knockout. But out of all the scenarios that I've talked about, again, just to clarify, I'm picking Dillian Whyte to win the fight on points. I think in my mind, that's the most likely scenario. Yeah. Again, I wouldn't be shocked at the other scenarios, but I think that's the most likely scenario. So that is what I'm sticking with, is Dillian Whyte on points. And I think early on in the fight, Browne's going to be very dangerous. And we saw him even late on against Chigaev. He was still dangerous. He still had power. And I think he'll still be dangerous late in the fight against Dillian Whyte if it goes that long. But I don't think he'll be as dangerous late as he will be early. I think early is when Dillian Whyte is in real danger of potentially getting hurt and potentially getting stopped by Lucas Browne. And I think if he gets clipped clean by a full power shot from Lucas Browne's right hand, I think he'll quickly discover that actually Lucas Browne does hit as hard as the other guys that Dillian Whyte's been in the ring with, like Helenius and Anthony Joshua, maybe even harder. I think he'll discover that. So we know Dillian Whyte's got heart, so that's never a problem. But yeah, I think he needs to be careful of Lucas Browne's power. And I'm sure Mark Tibbs and Mark Tibbs' dad, Jimmy Tibbs, will be warning Dillian Whyte about this. They know Dillian Whyte likes to scrap, but they'll be saying to him, look, Dillian, let's just box. Let's break him down first. Let's make it similar to the Ian Lewison fight. And that's also something that David Price talked about. Now, some people are going to ridicule David Price in terms of what takes place in a boxing ring. Look, David Price has achieved more than any of us, or most of us anyway, who are listening to this video right now. He's achieved more than most of us in a boxing ring. So how is his opinion on boxing any less valid than mine or yours? You know, I think David Price, from what I've seen of him over the years on TV, he's a pretty good boxing pundit. I've said this many times. It's not just now I'm bringing it up. Those of you who are long-time subscribers will know that I rate David Price as a pundit. I like the way he breaks down fights, and he's been pretty accurate with his predictions for the most part. I know he predicted Vladimir Klitschko to beat Anthony Joshua and knock Anthony Joshua out. That was one that he got wrong. But to David Price's credit, and to be fair, Vladimir Klitschko came very, very close, didn't he, to knocking Anthony Joshua out. So we can't say that was such a terrible prediction, even though he did get it wrong. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you saw the press conference, is it what you expected? Did you expect more? Did you hope to see them get into fisticuffs and rolling around, as Eddie Hearn would put it? Or are you glad that they kept it just verbal rather than physical? Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to be fined. Nobody wants to put this fight in jeopardy. And one thing I have to also talk about before I close out the video is the fact that this fight is taking place a week before Anthony Joshua's fight against Joseph Parker, which is interesting. And you wonder how that will affect the ticket sales. Eddie Hearn has said that the tickets have been flying for this Dillian Whyte Lucas Browne fight. I think the personalities here are right for Dillian Whyte to actually be able to sell a decent amount of tickets. In terms of the personality of Lucas Browne, the fans, a lot of casual fans have been seeing Dillian Whyte go back and forth with Lucas Browne on social media for, a year or so now, maybe more, maybe a couple years they've been seeing this, because this fight has been talked about and mooted for a long time. So the fact that there's history there between them, and Lucas Browne is an English-speaking fighter, I think that helps sell tickets for this fight and helps promote this fight, that there's history between them. Lucas Browne speaks English and they genuinely don't like each other, and there's been controversy between these two fighters before on social media. So all of these ingredients are going to help him sell tickets, but still, a week before Joshua's fight, how many fight fans are going to choose Dillian Whyte over Anthony Joshua? Because tickets ain't cheap to these events. I know the Dillian Whyte tickets are going to be a hell of a lot cheaper than the Joshua tickets, but who is going to go to two matchroom boxing shows, twice in the space of a week? That's a question you have to ask, and you wonder why the fights are so close together. If I've made a mistake here and they're not a week apart, then please correct me, but I believe they are a week apart. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know how you feel in the comment section below about how the press conference went, the head-to-head and all that kind of stuff. I saw the head-to-head on the live stream, but there was a lot of journalists in the way, so you didn't really get a good close look, and there wasn't any audio. You couldn't really hear what they were saying. And I think there was a lot of security to stop them kicking off, so they didn't allow Browne and Whyte to get too close. But you could sense the tension between the two of them. Lucas Browne certainly strongly dislikes Dillian Whyte. There's a serious dislike there. I don't think it's acting in the slightest. I think there's a genuine hatred between these two guys, and hopefully that manifests in the ring as a very good fight. What kind of fight do you guys think it's going to be? As I said previously, David Price is predicting a Dillian Whyte victory, and he thinks the fight will not live up to expectations in terms of excitement because he thinks Dillian Whyte is going to box a safety first fight, similar to how he did against Ian Lewison. And because of that, it won't be particularly exciting, but he thinks Dillian Whyte will be effective with those tactics. Now, do you think it's going to be that kind of fight, or do you think that it's going to be a barn burner, which is what it's being billed as because of the fact that you've got two guys who don't like each other and two very strong personalities? Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. And if it did turn out to be a barn burner, who would benefit from that more, Dillian Whyte or Lucas Browne? We know Lucas Browne is a very big puncher, and we assume that that's his best chance of winning if he actually exchanges with Dillian Whyte. But I think Dillian Whyte is actually a better inside fighter than Lucas Browne. So if they do exchange, who's to say that Dillian Whyte might not actually get the better of it if he's got the tighter, crisper shots on the inside? As I say, I think Lucas Browne will be most dangerous at mid-range, but at close range, I think Dillian Whyte has got an advantage. I think he's a better inside fighter than Lucas Browne. He's a bit unrefined in terms of his inside work and underdeveloped in that aspect of his game. So, you know, there's a possibility that even if they exchange, Dillian Whyte might get the better of it, and he might be able to wear Lucas Browne down and use that work rate. Lucas Browne, in the build up to this fight, has acknowledged that Dillian Whyte has a good work rate and he can box. So, you know, that's a possibility there. Anyway, yeah, let me know how you think the fight is going to play out. Maybe you think that Lucas Browne's actually going to be better on the outside than Dillian Whyte. And one thing I will say is I just rewatched the Robert Helenius fight earlier on today, and I really do believe that it was Robert Helenius' movement on the back foot that was giving Dillian Whyte so many problems, and that's the reason Dillian Whyte wasn't able to set himself and why he started lunging and looking clumsy. I think it was the movement of Robert Helenius. And if you watch the Lucas Browne-Ruslan Chagayev fight, Lucas Browne moves a lot in that fight, but Ruslan Chagayev is able to deal with Lucas Browne's movement fairly well. Now, if Lucas Browne employs them same kind of tactics against Dillian Whyte and maybe, you know, surprises him, because that would be a surprise, not only to most boxing fans, I think that would be a surprise to Dillian Whyte if Lucas Browne decided to box on the back foot. Nobody would be expecting that, or very few people. If he did do that, maybe he could emulate some of the things that Robert Helenius did in terms of making Dillian Whyte miss, but then he could come in and counter more effectively than Robert Helenius. One thing I'll say about Lucas Browne is that although he may lack technique, I don't think he lacks in spirit. I think he's a vicious guy in that boxing ring, at least. And if he's behind on points, if he's having any issues getting outboxed or getting outworked, maybe just by Dillian Whyte's superior work rate, if he has a superior work rate, I don't think Lucas Browne's going to just resign himself to defeat and take a points loss. I don't think so. I think he'll make a stand, and I think he'll gamble if he feels like he's behind in the fight, and he'll let the big shots fly. So anyway, let me stop this video right here and leave you guys to leave me your opinions and your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, it's happening. I'm out.